Throughout the warm weather months, Tom Godward's farm fields north of Aitkin, Minnesota are home to a widely diverse collection of crops, ranging from flax and canola to corn and oats. One of his primary crops is cultivated wild rice, grown in fields surrounded by earthen dikes. Wild rice sprouts from shallow water that is pumped into rice paddies to provide the proper growing conditions. By late summer, the wild rice is ready to be harvested, some in traditional fashion by hand in a canoe. And some by combines in fields where water has been drained to allow for mechanical harvest. In the spring and fall, the flooded patchwork of fields are magnets for water birds like ducks, geese, and swans. In the spring, when water is pumped into the paddies, it is often the only open water for miles and miles. This open water attracts birds as they migrate north to nest, breed, and raise their young. Not only do the flooded paddies provide water for the birds to rest, they are also chock full of wild rice grains that have fallen from the rice stalks before and during harvest. Tundra swans, trumpeter swans, ducks, and geese arrive in huge numbers to take advantage of this windfall and gorge themselves on the tasty grains. During the spring northward migration, it's not uncommon for thousands of tundra and trumpeter swans to spend a month or more at this open water oasis, eating, resting, and waiting to continue their journey north. Many of the same birds return in the fall to rest and fuel up for their grueling flight to warmer climates. Water birds aren't the only feathered creatures who take advantage of the open water ponds. Nesting bald eagles can be found perched high above the paddies, surveying their surroundings and watching for their next meal. In addition to providing habitat for migratory birds, the paddies can also help mitigate flooding. Because it often comes from local rivers, cultivated wild rice farmers are required to obtain permits for pumping water into their paddies. Since this is done in the spring when rivers are often swollen or have escaped their banks, drawing additional water from those sources can help reduce the impacts of flooding. Wild rice is native to Minnesota, but has only been cultivated as a crop for a little over 50 years. But for wildlife, they don't seem to mind or notice the difference. Whether it's naturally occurring or cultivated, wild rice and the environment needed to grow it provide the habitat many creatures need to thrive.